What is literature? Literature means it is the verbal expression, oral or written, of the experiences of the people as influenced by their history. If language is the people's greatest invention, literature is the greatest form of art. Kings and conquerors die, empires topple, bridges and steel fall to decay, but the artist's words remain and live on in the hearts of men. Literature is life. It presents man's experience in various forms like sensations, feelings, moods, attitudes, thoughts, and events. In presenting all this, the writers choose a specific structure to convey meaning. They select a particular angle of vision to present this human experience to the readers. So what are the reasons for studying literature? First, to know ourselves, our heritage, and the genius of our race as a people distinct from others. To realize that like other people, we also have great noble traditions that we may use as foundation for the assimilation for new cultures and civilization. Third, to realize the limitation of our literary capacities and to retrain ourselves to overcome them. Another, to recognize our literary merits and find means to improve them, and lastly, to trace back the past or history. Let's talk about literary standards. First, we have the universality. Literature appeals to everyone, regardless of culture, race, sex, and time, which are all considered significant. Another, we have the artistry. Literature has an aesthetic appeal and thus possesses a sense of beauty. Next is intellectual value. Literature stimulates critical thinking that enriches mental processes of abstract and reasoning, making man realize the fundamental truths of life in its nature. Next is suggestiveness. Literature unravels and conjures man's emotional power to define symbolisms, nuances, implied meanings, images and messages, giving and evoking visions above and beyond the plane of ordinary life and experience. Next is the spiritual value. Literature elevates the spirit and the soul, and thus has the power to motivate and inspire, drawn from the suggested morals or lessons of the different literary genres. Next is permanence. Literature endures across time and draws out the time factor. It includes timeliness, occurring at a particular time, and timelessness, remaining invariable throughout time. And lastly is the style. Literature presents peculiar ways on how man sees life, as evidenced by the formation of his ideas, forms, structures, and expressions which are marked by their memorable substance. Next is the three ingredients of literature. To provide for an easy way of understanding literary works and of appreciating on the basis of the human values they will communicate, you must approach literature through its principal ingredients. First, we have the subject. It can be a word or praise. So any work of literature is about something, and for this reason, it has a subject. The subject may be an emotion, an object, an abstract idea, or an event. Next is the form. The form is the verbal and artistic structuring of ideas. The subject of love, for instance, may be expressed in a poem, in a story, or in a drama form. In a reading of literary work, you must pay careful attention to its form because the work of art is in large part an aesthetically shaped structure. Next is the point of view. This refers to the angle of vision of the narrator. It determines the narrator of the story, the one who tells it from different points of view. We have 5 different types of point of view. First, we have the first-person point of view. It is the character narrator who tells the story in the I voice, expressing his own views. He is either a minor or main character that tells the story in his own words. Next is the third-person omniscient. It is a narrator that tells the story from an all-knowing point of view. He sees the mind of all the characters. Next is the third-person limited. It has a narrator that tells only what he can see or hear inside the world of the story. This narrator is otherwise known as camera technique narrator, as he does not reveal what the characters are thinking and feeling. Next is the third-person central. It has a narrator that limits narration to what the central character thinks, feels, does, and what and whom the central character observes. And lastly, the third-person editorial. It has a narrator that comments on the action by telling the readers its significance or evaluating the behavior of the characters. So these are all the different types of point of view. So that's all for this lesson, and I'm leaving the message of Laurie Anderson. Literature is the safe and traditional vehicle through which we learn about the world and pass on values from one generation to the next. Books save lives. Thank you so much!
Till I ain't no more gone.